Hello everyone, it's me, FNAF Merch Plus. Before we start, I just want to say the first and most important thing to note is that this video is just my opinion. I don't know anything about the internal workings of this franchise or what Scott Cawthon has planned for the future. I could very much be wrong in this video. With that quick disclaimer out of the way, let's get into it. I have three main reasons as to why I think there is no single correct solution to the story and timeline of Five Nights at Freddy's. Number 1, FNAF was supposed to be Scott's final game. Number 2, the franchise is highly profitable. And 3, the biggest reason in my opinion is that no single timeline has been able to fit all the pieces into place perfectly. That last one's a bit complicated, but I'll explain when we get there. Let's begin. Starting with the first reason, allow me to explain some Scott Cawthon lore. Scott made many games before he struck gold with Freddy Fazbear. His early work included many Christian games and animations, the most notable being Pilgrim's Progress, The Desolate Hope, and most importantly, Chipper & Sons Lumber Co. This game in particular was highly criticized as being too creepy for a kids game. People noted the uncanny designs of the characters, and Scott became upset by these remarks, but he didn't give up. Being put in a tough financial situation, he made one last-ditch effort before planning to quit game development entirely. He took the criticisms to heart and made a game that was actually supposed to be scary, unlike Chipper & Sons. The result? Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, I know what you're thinking. How is any of that relevant? FNAF was, at the time, Scott's last game. He didn't know what it would turn into, that it would eventually become a huge multimedia franchise. At the very least, none of the lore in the first game was intended for the massive series it has become. I would argue FNAF 2 is nearly the same, and that by the third game, he began planning somewhat of an actual story. My second reason is a lot more obvious. FNAF is a highly profitable series. If the story ever got solved, a lot of people would lose interest in it. Not everyone, of course, but a large portion of the community is here for the mystery. If the story was fed to us on a plate or put in a lore book, no one would care anymore, which leads to less game and merch sales, less people talking about it online, and generally just making the series less popular. This would be, obviously, bad for business, and this is the reason I think we will never get a proper timeline. The mystery largely keeps the game as popular as it is. My final reason is harder to explain, but just follow my line of thought for a minute. There are many timeline videos out there, all with different explanations for parts we're uncertain about. I have some questions I want you to think about. When does the crying child die? Is it before or after Elizabeth? Where does Sister location fit in the timeline? What about Charlie? When does she die? What is Afton's motivation for killing her? Who reboots Fazbear Entertainment after FNAF 6? What's in the FNAF 4 box? Are the Fazbear Frights books canon to the games or not? I guarantee that you've heard multiple convincing answers to all of these questions. Here's the thing though, no timeline out there has all the evidence line up perfectly. They get close, sure, but there's always one or two details that are a big stretch to make work with the rest. The way these games are written, the clues dropped in them, the books lining up with some things but not others, the movie adding a whole load of questions, all this culminates into one clear answer. The story of Five Nights at Freddy's is up to you to decide. There's just enough threads to get a story started, and the rest is supposed to be made up by you. There is no big book of FNAF lore locked away in a vault somewhere. Scott himself doesn't have answers to most of the questions. The FNAF story can't be solved in just one way, but an endless number of ways. And you know what? I think that's amazing. The way this game has managed to survive this long is because of the awesome community surrounding and supporting it. FNAF will never have one solid story, and that's okay. With the few details they do give us, we are prompted to create our own stories from them. That's what FNAF is about. But hey, that's just my opinion on it. Let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you next Friday where I'm doing a full tour of my current FNAF collection. Hope to see you there!